Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. I really appreciate it. Please click to subscribe. This behind me right here, this is the Carnival Horizon. This is the cruise ship that Anna Kepner and her family were on when it appears she was murdered, based on all the information that we're getting now. The Carnival Horizon ports here in Miami every single Saturday. Kind of creepy to think that there are probably people staying in that cabin right now who don't even know what happened there. That Anna Kepner was underneath the bed, wrapped in a blanket and covered with life jackets. The latest now, according to reports, is that she died from asphyxiation, that she was strangled to death, and that her stepbrother, a 16-year-old boy, is now the suspect, and that it all happened right here on the Carnival Horizon. What happens next, though, is the big question. What is the holdup with this investigation? Why hasn't there been an arrest? I've been digging into it. It's very tricky when a juvenile is charged within the federal system, and it is a federal crime because this happened on a cruise ship. But it is rare and it is complicated for a juvenile, someone under 18, to be charged in the federal system. I'm going to explain all of that, why it's so complicated. I'm going to explain everything that I have learned on the case and what is happening behind the scenes with the FBI investigation and the medical examiner, and everything that we are figuring out happened on this cruise ship behind me. I'm getting into all of it in this episode of Brian Entin Investigates. Hey guys, sorry it is a little noisy out here at the port, so just bear with me. But I am going to do a deep dive into the mysterious death of Anna Kepner on a Carnival cruise ship, the Carnival cruise ship that is right behind me right now, and also the possible involvement of her stepbrother. Port Miami, which again is where I am right now, it is a very busy port. It is where the Carnival Horizon came into port on November 8th, a Saturday, just like it's here again today. Again, this is one of the busiest cruise ports in the entire world. The Horizon, it carries 3,960 passengers. It is a very large cruise ship. It typically does Caribbean cruises that leave from Port Miami here. And I grew up in South Florida. I sort of know a lot about the cruise industry just because it's really the backbone of the South Florida economy. When I was in local news here, we did a lot of stories on cruise ships. Again, like a lot of people either work for the cruise companies or they work for companies that do different work for the cruise lines. So cruise business is big here, and deaths on cruise ships, they're not entirely unusual. Elderly people, a lot of them go on cruises. Sadly, they die on cruises. People get sick on cruises. People fall overboard. But from the very beginning, this did seem different, this Anna Kepner case. I remember when my friend Sheldon Fox, he is a reporter, a good friend of mine who I've worked with for a long time at the Fox station here in Miami. He sent me videos of the medical examiner removing Anna's body in a body bag from the ship. And just her being so young, it was alarming seeing those videos. And I'm not gonna show, I kind of freeze framed that I don't really feel comfortable showing body bags. It just feels, I don't know, sort of insensitive. But this video really raised alarm bells for me. The FBI investigating, that alone would not be totally unusual because they investigate really anything that happens on a cruise ship. But the fact, and that's what I noticed in this video, the fact that they had their evidence response teams out here seem to be doing this thorough investigation. I mean, these are the same evidence response teams that I've seen at really big crimes. These little trucks that show up and they were going on and off the ship. And it just seemed like something was up, that this was not just a natural death, especially the way the FBI was treating it early on. At first, we were hearing nothing. Everyone was totally tight-lipped, but then information started to leak out. According to multiple reports, Anna was found dead under a bed in her cabin. She was wrapped in a blanket. She was hidden, is the way it's been described, under life jackets. And ABC News is now reporting that Anna died of asphyxiation, resulting from what is called a bar hold, which is an arm across the neck. So strangulation caused by an arm across the neck. And ABC is reporting that they also found 2 bruises on the side of her neck, which would again go along with this strangulation cause of death. They're reporting that there were no signs of sexual assault, and there did not appear to be drugs or alcohol in Anna's system. So did you know that your personal data is being harvested and sold online by data brokers? Literally anyone can buy your personal details. It is so disturbing. I mean, we've all Googled ourselves, and you see your name, you can find your phone number, address, everything is out there. It's on so many sites. It puts us all at risk for a whole host of things like identity theft, becoming a target of phishing scams, potential stalking, honestly a ton more. I mean, the list goes on what can happen with this information. And that is why I'm so happy to tell you about our sponsor, Delete Me. Delete Me helps you keep your personal info private, which is so important to me and so important to everyone right now, especially with all the stuff that's online. I use Delete Me, and honestly, I mean, it's crazy what I found. I had no idea there were so many sites with my personal info. They found, as of now, and it's still growing, 136 companies with my info posted publicly online, and they're working to remove all of it. Look at all of these different websites. Imagine how long it would have taken me to do all of this myself, to contact each site and to say, hey, remove my data. And the thing is, with Delete Me, they don't stop once all your personal data is removed. They will keep monitoring the sites for you so your info doesn't find its way back on there again. They keep watching. Using Delete Me has given me peace of mind about my family too, because if someone buys your data, like via data broker, they can see all the information about your relatives too. So Delete Me doesn't just protect you, it also protects your whole family. Right now, you can get 20% off Delete Me and protect your own personal data when you go to joindeleteme.com/investigates and use promo code investigates at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/investigates, promo code investigates. So there's been no official cause of death at this point from the medical examiner's office, but these reports from ABC News say that the cause of death is going to be asphyxiation. It appears that she was sharing a cabin with her brother and also with her stepbrother, and the stepbrother is now a possible suspect. In terms of the cabins on these Carnival cruise ships, I mean, a lot of them are different. I am told that this cabin that this happened in reportedly had a queen-size bed in it and also 2 bunk beds. And there are reports that Anna's 14-year-old brother, and this is really, I mean, there's so many parts of this case that are disturbing and sad and troubling, but this is really troubling. These reports that Anna's 14-year-old brother slept just feet away from Anna. That the brother was sleeping just feet away when Anna was dead and when she was hidden under the bed. And he noticed that she wasn't in the cruise cabin, but reportedly assumed that she had gotten up to spend time with their parents. And on November 6th, the night she died, according to the medical examiner, she left dinner early. She went back to the cabin, not feeling well. That part was reported by the Daily Well, by my buddy Ben Ashford, who's been digging into this. Her 2 siblings, her real brother, the 14-year-old, and then there's the stepbrother, the 16-year-old. They reportedly headed back to the room later that night. The younger brother changed his clothes and then went back out to take pictures of the Carnival horizon because, you know, it was like the last night. So it seems at this point, Anna was then left alone in that cabin with her stepbrother. And so the younger brother is out taking pictures, you know, like kids do, you know, the last night of the cruise, excited. And when the younger brother came back to the cabin, he reportedly noticed that Anna wasn't in the bed. So he assumed that she had gone out with the adults and he went to sleep. And again, now based on what we know, it's just tragic to think that he went to sleep not realizing that his sister was dead and stuffed under the bed, very close to where he was sleeping. Now keep in mind, these ships have literally thousands of security cameras. There are cameras everywhere, and there's reportedly surveillance footage that shows Anna returning to the cabin, but not spotted leaving again. So think about this. It showed her going in the cabin, the video did, but then not coming out. And if you've been on a cruise ship, you've probably noticed that there are cameras everywhere. There are cameras in all of the hallways. It seems like every inch of the ship is covered by cameras. Literally, they have a view of everything. So they would very clearly know that she went into the cabin because they have it on video. So you'd see her going in, and then they could look at the surveillance video and see that she did not come back out. So when his sister still did not come back to the cabin, the younger brother then became alarmed and realized that she was missing. Again, what he did not realize, which I don't know why I'm like so hung up on this, but it's so sad, is that she had been in the room all along and that he was sleeping so close to her dead body. Sorry for all the beeping behind me, by the way. There's a lot of action when these cruise ships come into port. So Anna's father then began searching the ship for Anna. Panic begins to set in. They're looking for any sign of her. And it was around that time that there was this medical emergency reportedly announced over the Horizon's PA system. And we know that because there are other passengers who said they heard someone come over the PA over the whole ship and announce that there was a medical emergency. And it was actually a cleaning crew that ended up discovering her body, which was reportedly next to the bunk beds that her brother was sleeping in. And again, in this particular cabin, there's bunk beds, and then there is what seems to be a queen-size bed. So it's like kind of set up for families. And again, Anna's body was found wrapped in a blanket and covered with life jackets. The New York Post is reporting that Anna's brother reportedly heard yelling, and this is some of the new reporting that's come out, that the brother, the biological brother, reportedly heard yelling and heard chairs being thrown inside the cruise cabin the night before Anna was found dead. And that commotion allegedly went down when Kepner was in the cabin alone with her 16-year-old stepbrother. So the biological brother was outside. Apparently the door was locked, and Anna Kepner, the 18-year-old, was in the cruise cabin with her stepbrother alone when the real brother says that he heard these disturbing noises coming out of the cabin the night before, which would indicate perhaps there was some kind of conflict going on between Anna and the stepbrother, before she was killed. So there's these custody documents that I want to get into involving a divorce that indicated that the stepbrother is a suspect. So I want to go back to these legal documents that were filed and kind of give you, there's been all sorts of reports about these documents, but I want to read to you some of the specific quotes from actually in the legal documents, so you can hear for yourself where all this reporting is coming from. So there's the document filed by the lawyers of Anna's stepmom. Her name is Chantel Hudson. They are asking for more time to respond to recent filings related to her 2024 divorce, citing an extremely sensitive and severe circumstance. Hudson goes on to say that one of the younger kids faces a potential criminal prosecution. So that is where all of this information came from, in terms of the stepbrother being a suspect. We didn't find that out through the FBI. We didn't find that out through the medical examiner. We're finding this out through these divorce documents, okay? And what it says is currently there is an investigation being conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI, arising out of the sudden death of 18-year-old Anna Kepner. And the filing goes on to say the deceased is the daughter of the respondent's paramour, and the respondent and the minor children of this instant action were all on the cruise ship together. The respondent has been advised through discussions with FBI investigators and her attorneys that a criminal case may be initiated against one of the minor children of this instant action. And Hudson's motion asks for issues around custody and access to the two minor children she shares with her ex-husband, Thomas Hudson, to be postponed until the criminal investigation has been concluded. And it says any testimony the respondent may give, either written or oral, could be prejudicial to her or her adolescent child in this pending criminal investigation. And that, again, all of that from the filing is where we now know that the stepbrother is apparently a suspect. So it was that filing that started the flood of information that started to come out with all of this. Anna's ex-boyfriend is also now talking. Again, it's sort of like the floodgates opened. For a week we heard nothing, the filing was found, and now we're hearing more. And Anna's ex-boyfriend is also now talking, and he says he witnessed creepy interactions with her stepbrother during FaceTime calls, like one where he visited her bedroom at 3 a.m. and got on top of her. So, reportedly, Anna's ex-boyfriend, who seems like a nice young guy, says that he was on FaceTime with Anna and saw the stepbrother come in and get on top of her at 3 a.m. And the stepbrother was reportedly obsessed with Anna, according to this ex-boyfriend. And the ex-boyfriend said she was scared of him. And this part, again, this stuff is alarming. And she said she was scared of him because he carried around a big knife. That's what he said, a big knife. The ex-boyfriend said he reported the encounter to Anna's parents and said that she complained about being uncomfortable around her stepbrother, and that this information was relayed to Anna's parents, which begs the question, why would they be sharing a cabin together? Sleeping arrangements on the cruise ship came up during a divorce hearing last week. The divorce hearing, again, between the 16-year-old suspect's parents, and the mother said the 16-year-old is now under psychiatric care. So the 16-year-old stepbrother, who is now reportedly a suspect in Anna's death, has been under psychiatric care now. The dad's attorney said the 16-year-old was allowed to drink and that teenagers were given their own room on the ship. The drinking thing is kind of interesting, though, because it's my understanding that, if you're under 21, even though it's international waters, you are not allowed to drink on a cruise ship. Granted, that doesn't mean like they weren't sneaking drinks back to the room or whatever, but I don't think you can actually order a drink if you're 16 on a cruise ship. A lot of circumstances showed the mother was not exercising supervision over the child. That is what the attorney for the father said when it comes to how things were playing out on this cruise ship. Also in court, it came out that the 16-year-old was hospitalized in what appears to be some kind of psychiatric hospital, that he was put into the psychiatric hospital after the cruise came back here to Port Miami. He was released, and they said at this court hearing that he is in counseling now. That is what the attorney said. So, stepbrother, who is now a suspect reportedly of killing Anna, was in a psychiatric hospital when he got back here to the Port Miami once the trip came back, and now is still undergoing psychiatric treatment, but he is out of the hospital. Carnival Cruise Lines, they haven't said much officially, which is really not a surprise here. They released a short statement initially, then they released a longer statement. They're not going to say much, obviously, if this is under current FBI investigation, but this is the statement, the latest statement that they've released. They say Carnival Cruise Line continues to fully cooperate with the FBI in the investigation of the death of a guest traveling on Carnival Horizon earlier this month. The FBI has advised that there is no related threat to safety aboard the vessel. Beyond that, since this is an ongoing matter under the jurisdiction of law enforcement, all media inquiries need to be directed to the FBI's Miami Public Affairs Office. Our thoughts remain with Anna. What stood out to me in that statement is that they're saying no ongoing safety threat on the vessel. So they don't want people to think like there was like a random killer on the cruise ship, which all indications are there were not. And I just thought that line really stood out to me in the statement, which makes sense. I mean, for business, they don't want people to think that, there was something shady going on this cruise ship. It appears this was like a domestic family issue. One thing I also thought about is when the ship came back into port and they took Anna's body off, the FBI went on, they investigated, I showed you those pictures, and then the ship was still loaded with a whole new group of passengers that day and left the port. That's how these things work. The ships come into port, whether it be Miami or Fort Lauderdale. They come in the morning, usually on Saturdays. If you've been on a cruise ship, you know they wake you up early, everybody gets off, they quickly clean the ship, and then a whole new group of thousands of people get on in the afternoon, and the ship leaves, which I think was really a hint early on that the FBI had some idea of what happened. You know, if it was a mystery, you would think they would have kept the ship in port while they continued to investigate, or they would have kept everyone on the ship while they tried to figure out who was responsible. Think about it, if they thought this was a random killing, you know that it's someone who's on the ship. That's just the way it works. So you'd keep everybody on while you figured out what happened. It'd actually be amazing for the FBI. You know, you got everybody in one place, but no. From very early on, they let everybody off the ship. They didn't keep everybody on. It was quite the opposite. Everybody got to get off. The FBI did their work, and then they let a whole new group of people on the ship, and the ship left that day. And it seems likely that goes back to the security camera situation that I was talking about. They could clearly see that Anna went into the room, and they could see who else went into the room, the stepbrother, and they knew that. They knew that early on. They could see it right with their own eyes. So they knew who went in, and they knew who came out, and they knew who the suspects could be. In terms of why we're not hearing or seeing more information or hearing about an arrest, and that's been one big question that I keep getting, like, okay, how do we know all this stuff that's coming out, but the stepbrother is still free? Well, first of all, the autopsy is still pending. Toxicology results can take weeks, they can take months. I've seen in cases that I've covered, literally months. And then also you've got this component of the FBI. They are notoriously secretive with their investigations. Their investigations can go on for a long time. And in this situation in particular, there really may not be a rush, since it seems they know where the stepbrother is right now. I spoke to a former FBI agent, my buddy, former FBI agent Steve Moore, about that.
Because this is not something where we've got a serial killer on the loose and he may hit next week. This is something that appears to be a case where you have a motive, possibly. I mean, you have an 18-year-old attractive female. That's a motive right there, unfortunately.
But perhaps what's the bigger issue here is the fact that the suspect is a juvenile, which really, really complicates things in the federal system. It is quite rare for a juvenile, someone under the age of 18, to be charged federally, and it falls under what is known as the Juvenile Delinquency Act. The Juvenile Delinquency Act, and under that act, federal authorities can refer a case to the state system, which is what they do frequently, because it seems the feds don't want to have these juvenile cases. But that doesn't seem like it's possible here, because again, remember, this alleged crime, if there is a crime, did not happen in a state. It happened in international waters on the cruise ship. And when the feds prosecute a juvenile, again, it's complicated. They want to get rid of these cases. They're not necessarily equipped for these cases. They want to send them to the state juvenile system, but that can't happen here. So when it's rare, but when they do prosecute a juvenile, it happens in a federal delinquency proceeding. That's what they call it, a federal delinquency proceeding. Sometimes if the crime is serious enough and the child is charged, the child charged is over the age of 15, the judge can then transfer the case to adult court. So with the stepbrother being 16, it's possible the judge could say, okay, you are a juvenile, but this is serious enough that you're going to be charged as an adult. That hasn't happened yet. It's possible. If that doesn't happen, then there are what's called federal juvenile delinquency proceedings. It's complex. I don't want to get into all of the details because I was reading. I mean, it's very complex, but I was doing some research. Juveniles found delinquent may be released under a suspended sentence. They could be placed on probation in order to pay restitution, or they could be sentenced to prison just like an adult would be. And what's also interesting about all of this is there are not a lot of situations where this has happened before. So we're going to have to see how this plays out with a juvenile, if he's charged, a juvenile on a cruise ship, federally charged. Something else that I don't think a lot of people realize that's very unique about this situation when it comes to a cruise ship is there are no police on a cruise ship. And yes, the FBI is now investigating, and they started their investigation when the ship returned here to Miami. But in terms of when the ship is actually out at sea, there is no law that requires cruise ships to have real police, which is kind of interesting. No police on the cruise ship, it's just security, which in some regards is pretty shocking when you think about it. No police. Some of these ships literally have thousands of people, like the Carnival Horizon behind me. Almost 4,000 people on the ship. It's like a small town or like a small city, but there's no police. It's just these security teams hired by the cruise industry. I spoke with maritime attorney Michael Winkleman about all of this because this is the kind of law that he specializes in. How does it work on a cruise ship in terms of like police and who investigates, and like if something happens while you're out at sea, who, I know the FBI gets on later when you come, back to port, but like who actually initially investigates?
That's a great question, Brian. And I think it's really something that's so unique about cruise ships. There is no independent law enforcement on a cruise ship. The only law enforcement are the cruise ship security guards. And that creates a really unique dynamic where whenever anything bad happens, it's the cruise ship employees that are the first people on site. And in my opinion and in my experience, there's a lot of incentive for the cruise ship employees to try to protect the company. In fact, that's their job. So it's hard for me to really say that there's any independent investigation done initially when something bad happens. It's really not until the FBI gets on or local law enforcement gets on. But that's what's so unique about cruise ship cases. And even in prosecuting them for as many years as I have, I can't just go on a cruise ship when something bad happens on a cruise ship. I have to wait for it to come to port. I have to get access. They're following you around when they're on the cruise ship. So there's a real evidence and information imbalance between the public and even the FBI versus what's actually going on the cruise ship right when something bad happens.
So it's literally security guards. Like let's say there was a murder on a cruise ship, just hypothetically. Like you literally have just security guards showing up
Yeah,
initially?
absolutely, 100%. There's no question about that. There's been pushes by Congress in the past to try to have like the equivalent of a marshal on a cruise ship, like they have on airplanes sometimes, to create some level of independence. Doesn't exist. If a murder were to happen, it is entirely the cruise line that is investigating it. And I can tell you, in my opinion, in my experience, I've seen situations involving crimes on cruise ships, most notably rapes and sexual assaults, where the victim comes forward and something bad happens, and the cruise employees are bending over backwards to get the person to not report it. Why? Because they want to protect the cruise line.
So are they like specially trained security guard? I'm just thinking like are they just basic security guards? Because that seems like a lot of responsibility for someone who's not really like law enforcement.
Well, generally speaking, you're going to have more senior level security officers, more low level security officers. They generally do have a law enforcement background. Some of them are terrific. Some of them are former Mossad type guys. So I'm not going to question the qualifications of the security staff on the ships. What I question is their independence.
And so you talked about some of your cases, and you don't have to get in like names or anything, but what have you seen happen in terms of them trying to, I guess, downplay something bad that happened?
Well, in my experience and in my opinion, what I've seen repeatedly across the cruise industry is when rapes or sexual assaults happen at sea, and I always say that's a hidden epidemic. People don't realize how often that type of crime happens. That there's a pattern that I see that basically when someone comes forward and reports it, they will do everything they can to get them to not report it, saying things like, "Do you really want this on your permanent record? It's going to be a he said, she said," which is really such a horrible thing to do in a person in such a delicate situation like that. But repeatedly, I have clients that come to me and say, "This is what happened. I didn't report it." And then maybe a year goes by when they finally come forward. It's really a sad situation, but I think it underscores the point that's being made, which is that not only do cruise ships have a unique information imbalance because the cruise ship is there is no independent law enforcement, and the law enforcement that's there is not independent and in fact is there to protect the company.
Do you know, are they armed? Like, do they have like police? I mean, do they have like handcuffs and stuff?
Handcuffs, absolutely. Tasers, yes. Asps, yes, but no firearms.
Okay. So if you, were sexually assaulted out at sea, or if there was a murder, um, I mean, there's no real law enforcement until would you have to get to a US port for the FBI to start investigating?
I mean, not necessarily. If there was a crime involving someone that died and they were ported in the Bahamas, certainly the FBI could fly over there and do that. But just practically speaking, the vast majority of cruise ships are home ported in Florida, in various ports in Florida. So generally speaking, the FBI and even local law enforcement would come on the ship as soon as they got back to port.
So I just want to finish up by talking about the victim, Anna Kepner. Everyone we've spoken to says that she was an amazing young woman. Her memorial service, it was last week in Titusville, Florida. Her family asked those who attended to wear colors instead of black to honor Anna's bright and beautiful soul. And instead of bringing flowers into the service, they asked people to leave flowers on Anna's car. It was really a very touching tribute. I just want to remember her for a second because, again, it sounds like she was an amazing young woman. She was going to graduate from high school in May. She was interested in joining the military, her family said. She loved people, and her family said that she, quote, had the type of energy that just drew you in with her smile and the way she carried herself. She filled the world with laughter, with love, and light that reached everyone around her. They say that Anna was pure, was energy. Her pure energy was bubbly, it was funny, it was outgoing, and that she was completely herself. And you just think about this. Sadly, she will never join the military. She'll never grow old. We still don't know exactly what happened to her. Again, a lot of these are allegations at this point. Is it possible that she wasn't murdered? Is it possible that she died somehow, some other way, and that her body was just, that it was just covered up? Is that why this is all delayed and we're waiting to get more from the medical examiner? But then again, that would be contrary to this ABC News report that she died of asphyxiation. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. A tragic case, what happened here on the Carnival Horizon. But I'm gonna stay on top of it and I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks so much again for watching this episode. Please click to subscribe. I'm also on all the audio platforms now. Appreciate you guys for watching.